Okay, let us begin. Hey, welcome to the 2023 SANS Holiday Hack Challenge closing ceremony. This year, the Holiday Hack Challenge was titled A Holiday Odyssey. And we had some great participants. This closing ceremony will go over a whole bunch of items associated with the holiday hack, some stuff to interest you, stuff to thrill you. We have some great co-presenters here, each of whom worked so hard on the Holiday Hack Challenge, plus the entire team that worked so hard on this. Plus, we're going to announce our winners, and we've got some really cool prizes for you this year. And I am joined by these fine folks here. I'll go over them on the next slide. Oh, by the way, just as a little hint, we post throughout the year different little teasers and elements associated with Holiday Hack Challenge. And one of the things that we posted was this sort of overall image of Holiday Hack. And in this year's Holiday Hack, Santa moved down to the Geese Island. So you can see the geese, and he's here kind of in a tropical environment with the sun rising and such. But if you look carefully, you'll see hibiscus at the bottom. I guess that's just part of the island theme, along with a palm tree. We've got a surfboard there, very nice. Surfboard very similar to the one behind me. But you see the other element on the screen? That's a satellite in the sky. That was meant to be a big hint for all you Holiday Hack players. There's a satellite in the sky, my friends. So, I'm going to give you a brief overview and talk about the storyline. I'll just be a few minutes. Then we've got a great presentation from Thomas Buva, also known as Crahan. He's going to talk to you about going from a player to a creator. We're then going to have Mark DeVito present to us on the challenges. He was our head challenge wrangler this year. Then Jared Folkens is going to be presenting on infrastructure and ops and DevOps of it. Evan, as always, Evan Booth, is going to be presenting on whimsical stats and miscellany. And then I'll go over some winning entries. And of course, I'll leave you with a shameless tease. So thank you for all my co-presenters for your hard work. Your presentations look awesome. And also thank you to our sponsors. Our prime sponsor for the Holiday Hack Challenge is, well, it's the SANS Institute, the SANS Holiday Hack Challenge. The SANS Institute helps us keep the lights on, so we're super thankful for them and all that they do. Also, we had some great sponsors this year. Google is a returning sponsor. They've sponsored Holiday Hack for many, many years now. We're super thankful for them. They allow us to host Holiday Hack in their environment, and they really support us fantastically. So our gratitude to Google. Microsoft this year, they're also a sponsor. We're super thankful to them. They created that great challenge, actually a couple of challenges associated with KQL. They were just a joy to work with through the whole challenge development process. And also this year we had Amazon as a sponsor, doing great stuff. Amazon Security specifically, we appreciate them. And we put booths for them in our little booth area in Holiday Hack. And then, of course, the SANS Technology Institute College, which is a part of the SANS Institute, but it's a college of almost 1,800 students now. And they were a sponsor here, and we're super thankful. I happen to be the president of that college, so it's not a surprise that they sponsor us, but still, we're thankful that the rest of the team there is supportive of this. We are looking for additional sponsors. If you or someone you know would be interested in helping to deliver this gift to the community, please reach out to contact@counterhack.com. It's very likely I will be the one that responds, because we are looking for partners. It takes a tremendous amount of effort and resources to make the Holiday Hack at the level of quality that we want it for you. So the lessons that you can learn and apply come through, and you have some fun during the holiday season. So if you or somebody you know would like to sponsor Holiday Hack, by all means, reach out to us in email. We are very excited about these sponsors. We're hoping we carry them all forward and sponsor us for Holiday Hack 2024. By the way, I've been working on Holiday Hack 2024 since October of last year, so I'm already 3 months into working on the storyline, the music, and so forth. And some of these other folks have been as well. We also like to thank our Kringle concierges. These are the people that sit on Discord, or maybe they'll see you in the game. These folks are wonderful. I mean, they really kind of help new players get oriented, kind of sort things out for them. If the game has a hiccup or something, they tell us about it. And usually Jared or Vince from the team has to kind of help try to fix the stuff. They are just a tremendous, tremendous group of people. I'm so grateful for each and every one of them. And In fact, we love them all so much, we decided to hire one of them. So Kyle Parrish just joined our team earlier this week. So Kyle's going to be doing range development, holiday hack development, and penetration testing for the counter hack team. Um, I don't know which one of each of these Kringle concierges looks exactly like which one of these geese, but I'm sure there's a close resemblance for many of them. I'd also like to thank you to all of these volunteers. I can't read all of their names. There's just so many folks here that did so many things on the website and the social networking, swag design, testing, feedback, artists, voice artists. You'll hear more about the voice artists in a little bit. But let me draw attention to just three of our voice artists. We have Mark Pitched Up DeVito, whose very distinct role in the game is critical as the game advances. We have Mark the Don DeVito, also a pretty important role in the game. And then finally, Mark Walken DeVito. So three different people, no relation, but they have the same name except for the middle name. Also, I want to draw attention to one other person, Henry Reed. There is a photograph. It might look like a cartoon. That's actually what Henry looks like. It's a photo. He did all things space. So I went to Henry. He's actually a student associated with the SANS Technology Institute, and he told me he has a lot of knowledge of space technologies. And I said, "Hey, you want to help out?" This was 9 or 10 months ago. You want to help out with Holiday Hack? And he volunteered to help out and gave us a tremendous amount of wonderful work and effort. Worked with Jared Folkens and Chris Davis from the Counter Hack team to put together all those space challenges you saw if you made it that deep into the game. So Henry, I wanted to include your remarkable likeness of this photo in this presentation because of your great work. Thank you for that. Also, I'd like to thank the CounterHack crew. The CounterHack crew's getting pretty big. This is the team that built this thing for you. I'm not going to go through everybody's name individually, but I am so proud of you folks and so thankful for you. In addition to all the great work that you do here, all the effort, the love, the teamwork, the camaraderie, all of that stuff. You folks let me go back. You folks are just darn good looking. I mean, seriously. For Holiday Hack launch, this is right as we're about to launch. We got these shirts for everybody on the team, and if you look at the shirt carefully, you'll see it's a Hawaiian style shirt, tropical shirt with our Santa Claus from the game in it. So this is the Counter Hack crew, the team that made all of this great stuff for you, and there are their names again. Cool. They really stepped up this year. So the story behind Holiday Hack 2023, A Holiday Odyssey, about a month before launch, it was actually, yeah, almost a month before launch, we launched a teaser video, which was based on the original trailer from 2001 Space Odyssey. And you kind of hear the whole, soundtrack and such, and you see Santa Claus. This was our indication to you that this thing this year is going to be about space and AI. Because if you look at 2001 Space Odyssey, it was about how Hal the computer kind of went crazy and did all this stuff, and of course, associated with space. So all of that kind of came together. So that was a big teaser. We likely will be doing similar teasers for Holiday Hack 2024. In fact, at the end of this presentation, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the storyline of HHC 2024. But the thought here for this story was it had three acts. Act one was, hey, AI can be helpful. You can do cool things with AI, but you got to be careful. Act two was, AI can be nasty. It can mess things up. Could AI even be evil? Well, that gets us into Act three. AI doesn't have a will of its own. There's somebody pulling the strings behind it. Somebody who might be in geostationary orbit just above the Geese Islands. In fact, Jack Frost. By the time you got into Act 3 and you look through that telescope, you could see a satellite in space. But who's on the satellite and why is the satellite there? You hack into the camera on the satellite and you get this image that was put together by Evan Booth. You see Jack Frost is back. For those who played Holiday Hack in the past, if you go back a couple years ago, Jack Frost was our villain a couple of years in a row. And Jack Frost was banished from planet Earth. He is from the planet Frost. And the Frostians came down to pick him up to take him back to justice back in Holiday Hack 2021. So he wasn't here for Holiday Hack 2022 because he's back on planet Frost facing justice. But you find out in Holiday Hack 2023, he was allowed parole. And one of the conditions of his parole was to never set foot on Earth again. So he cracks up this idea, moving to the next slide, of, hey, I would like to be able to control Santa Claus and his infrastructure from orbit above Earth. but there's no such thing as a geostationary polar orbit because the Earth spins this way, so you can't have a geostationary thing. You'll be far enough away that the latency becomes a problem. So Jack Frost cracks up this plan to get Santa to move to the Geese Islands, which are down here, then to place a geostationary satellite circulating around so he's always above where Santa and the elves are, so he can communicate and interact in real time with a co-conspirator as well as with Chat NPT. So he uses Chat NPT to socially engineer Santa to move. Then he sets up the satellite, and his big plan is to shoot that down, the sleigh, Santa's sleigh, on December 24th. But thankfully, you are wonderful players, stop that from happening. So I asked Evan, I said, hey, can you put together Jack's plan on butcher's block paper and hang it up in the back of the satellite to show this plan doesn't work? That's why we have the red X there. So his better plan is to move Santa, this is the lower right, have his satellite circulating around the planet, which is spinning, and make that work. And then, of course, because of that, conquer the holiday season. So, Evan, thank you for representing that. This went through so many iterations. I'm like, Evan, it's too small. Can you make it bigger? Oh, we don't want the file size to be bigger, just the text to be bigger. Hey, can you move Santa this way? The satellite, can you change it that way? Oh, don't turn the satellite. Anyway, thank you for the 10 iterations of this thing. I'm really happy with the way it came out, and I think our players were delighted. So let's move now from me to Mr. Thomas Buva, from player to creator. You ready, Thomas?
I am ready.
Take it away, sir.
Thank you so much. Let's move ahead to the next slide. Thank you. So hi, everyone. My name's Thomas. And some of you might probably know me from the less weird-looking avatar to the right, or my nickname, Crahan, on Discord and in the HHC world. And so, next slide. I am a former SANS Holiday Hack Challenge player. For the past 5 years, since 2018, the Christmas holidays for me have been a joyous moment of me roaming around the HHC world, interacting with all of you, creating my write-ups, sharing my write-ups. But unfortunately, beginning of 2023, next slide, please, I had to make a decision because I got a request if I wanted to join CounterHack. And so this was kind of the start of an emotional roller coaster, mainly because this meant, and Santa told me, that I wasn't allowed to play Holiday Hack Challenge anymore. But hey, I was joining CounterHack. So, I mean, that's kind of like an evening out. So next slide. But then I was told, well, you can't play, but you need to design challenges. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know how to do that. I've never done any of this. I mean, I've played them for 5 years. I know what I enjoy playing, what I find awesome about Holiday Hack, but I've never built anything myself, really. So then it kind of dawned on me. Next slide. I was actually given a backstage pass by Santa to go and peek behind the scenes and see all the magic on how Holiday Hack's actually being built. I mean, I joined a team with experts, and I got the opportunity to stand on the shoulders of giants and learn from their expertise and their knowledge, right? I was finally able to connect those dots from roaming around the Holiday Hack Challenge world and seeing how the world's built and poking around at that world in little bits and pieces. Now I was able to actually see how it was actually designed and built in real life. I finally got the opportunity to propose certain things that in 5 years of playing Holiday Hack, I kind of wanted to see in the world as well. So this was the ideal time to kind of do that. Similar to how I played Holiday Hack and I learned new technologies, I mean, that didn't really go away. I was going to design challenges and at the same time learn about those technologies as well. So it's kind of a win-win, and it kind of stayed the same in that sense as well. And then finally, I mean, I was still in Discord. I would still be interacting with everyone that I was interacting with for the past 5 years, helping out and seeing feedback from everyone. So, I mean, if you think about it, not all that much really changed. It just kind of flipped around slightly. Next slide. So what are the things that I actually learned as I moved from being a player for 5 years to actually helping out and being one of Santa's helpers this time around? So first of all, while designing challenges, I I learned how to do things like isolate SSH sessions, deploy and learn about all Azure Function app kind of functionality. And this year was probably the first time I actually looked at Go code and wrote a Go application. So on a technical level, there was a lot of learning for me to do, and a lot of learning that I knew things that I actually got from this. Next slide. I also got to help build and design the game world as well. And that included things like the layout of some of the whimsical islands, putting up those fences on Space Island as well, that kind of prevented you from just arriving on the island with your boat and then just hopping over to the satellite. No, that fence kind of prevented you from doing that. And then also creating things like that fun vending machine that has a mind of its own and dispenses some interesting things that you would need for certain challenges. And then finally, next slide. I also got to propose one of the things I was kind of excited about in previous challenges, but was missing, or previous years, I should say, was missing. What if all these NPCs were able to actually have a voice? And since we kind of focused on AI, and because the technology to generate these voices using AI has come so far in the last couple of years, with a culmination this year as well, I mean, this was the ideal time. So I made a proof of concept, proposed it and showed it to Ed and the team, and got some buy-in. And then we built some additional tools to automate the process for generating all of this. And we got to put it in the game, which was so awesome. And finally, next slide. I will say that while I wasn't able to kind of play the game or share my own write-up this time around, I still got to see everyone in Discord and the game world enjoy themselves. In a sense, by some of the things that I contributed to this event and by all the things that everyone built again this year as well. And so that was definitely one of the highlights as well. So my sincerest thank you to all of you for having such an amazing time and all your positive feedback. And I'll head it off back to you, Ed. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thomas, that was wonderful. You're such a treasured part of this team. You did such great work. The AI voice stuff was a real game changer, literally. I remember originally, before you joined, Jared called me and he was super excited about doing this AI voice generation. And he started to play to me my own voice saying all kinds of ridiculous things. And I'm like, uh-oh. And then Thomas came on board and made the whole thing real and scalable. We had over 30 different voices in the game, voices of people on our team, their friends, friends of the team. It was just amazing to see the integration of all of that. And the use of the actual voice synthesis and the requirement to do it for the challenges. Speaking of the challenges, see what I did there? Segue. Speaking of the challenges, Mark DeVito. Mark, you were also a new person on the team this year. You really stepped up as a challenge wrangler and did incredible stuff. Are you ready to go now and present?
I am.
Thank you so much.
Ready to go.
There you go.
So thank you, Ed. And yeah, as Thomas said, it was an interesting, as being a new CounterHack employee as well, it was interesting to be a behind the scenes person with Holiday Hack. And so what I decided to talk about was the challenge of challenges. It's not as straightforward as it may seem to create these amazing adventures, because we have to take Ed's storylines, which sometimes are kind of evolving, always changing. Nothing static. And we have to take those, and how do we merge that into, how do we create challenges that fit into this narrative that is so rich with storyline, adventure, and all the different aspects that go into the whole Holiday Hack theme. And so there was a bit of a challenge with this. So next slide, please. Thomas spoke about the adding of voices to the NPCs. Absolutely made, I feel like that really brought life to Holiday Hack, and it made it a much more personal interaction. When Ed said to me, "Hey, Mark," so we were quite far into the year when this was started and had some things occur, and he said, "Hey, Mark, listen, I need you to could you kind of coordinate and be the challenge wrangler?" And my first reaction was, "Sure. Who says no to their boss?" And so it was quite the adventure to watch this evolve. There's a lot of this that feels like you're sort of building a plane in flight, and it's because it changes so much. One of those adventures that we added to this was, as I said, sound. Not only did we have the NPCs speaking this year, but we also added an ambiance to each of the different island locations, which was incredibly immersive. Eric Persley, one of our teammates here, is the master behind this. Eric has an engineering degree in sound engineering degree, and he brought all those skills and techniques to bear to take each of these different individual worlds within a world, and we'll talk about worlds in just a moment, to create that full-fledged sort of that 4D feel. You had, not only were you walking about in this environment that was created, but you were talking to these characters, as Thomas talked about earlier, with this new ability to have maybe not 100, you weren't completely interactive, but it was great to hear the voices of these characters bring these people to life. And then not only that, you had the ambiance of the environment mixed with the tradition of Holiday Hack's incredible soundtrack that gets produced every year. So you had these multiple aspects bringing you into this world, enhancing your experience with that. And for me, I know that there's two areas that I thought were just the most amazing ambiance. The Blacklight District, outstanding. And the other one, little hint peek behind the curtain here, that top one, Santa's Village. The sounds of those beach sounds are the beach sounds of Manasquan Beach in New Jersey, which is not far from CounterHack Headquarters International. And so those were some of the guys on the team secretly recorded the sounds of those beaches and did that for Ed as a sort of a little hidden Easter egg for him. And so we have not only did we bring life to the NPCs, but I have to say we also brought life even to the geese on the islands. Yeah. So Ed, cluck cluck,
cluck cluck, cluck cluck.
Next slide, please. So that world that I was speaking about, not only was this world also an incredible environment of sound and immersion, but the worlds around it that we were in. Evan and the rest of the team did amazing work creating the individual locations, plus sailing about from island to island. What an incredible opportunity to feel again like you are really moving about. This world became so much larger than it has in any prior Holiday Hack. And we had, well, pop back forward, Ed.
Nope.
One slide.
Sorry.
Yeah, there we go. You keep going backwards. What are you doing to me? There we go.
Where do you want to go?
That next slide. Next slide. There we go.
Okay, good.
So the difficulty spectrum of our environment, we had all these different challenges across the spectrum. We had ones that were rather relatively simple, which is kind of where I came in, first time challenge developer. I built a 1-2 Christmas tree challenge. We had ones all the way up to challenges of 5, all of them using AI to drive the thematic aspect of this. Not only were our graphics just brought up to another level. Ed, next slide. And with the challenges, you could see the richness of all the graphics that we had in our challenges, bringing to bear the AI. Some notable things about this particular year. First SDR type challenge. You had the captain's comms where you're dealing with signals analysis. We had our first multiplayer environment, thanks to Chris Davis and that amazing work that he did there. The work on Space Island itself, the ability to get there using AI to have to mimic someone's voice. Now I can't really tell you maybe whose voice might have played a part in some of that, but you never know. So you've got all these incredibly rich graphics that Evan and Thomas and Eric and Chris created for this, mixed with this amazing AI thrill that went into this. Next slide, please. And then we even tried a couple of other things with our challenges. We had satellite hacking, which was just an amazing thing. When Ed told us this, it was like, what, are you kidding? we had first time we had a penetration testing report, which was a major hurdle for some people. We never expected this to be quite the challenge that it seemed to be. So many things in that were so obvious, yet we felt that people were not seeing them. So great learning opportunity. And for those of you who didn't realize that there were actually some really awesome hints in that penetration test report that went to helping you with future challenges. Chris Davis brought the physical world into our environment again. We've had touch pads in the past, but this time physically hacking a lock, a master lock, a luggage lock, absolutely incredible. And so just to sum it up, that SAT tracker, when we had the satellite hacking challenges, I have to think to myself, it's like we seriously we've hacked satellites now in Holiday Hack. So where do we go from here? What do we do next? I mean, what's next? Commandeer alien technology? I mean, this is outrageous. How do we go beyond hacking satellites? But I'm sure that Ed's got something in mind. So thank you to everyone who played. Thank you to everybody who was just so integral in doing this. What an amazing, amazing year. And thank you to that CounterHack team for me being a part of this and being a part of this amazing family. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Ed.
Mark. You did such great work, and wrangling those challenges is hard, but you were amazing, just awesome at it. Ah, speaking of amazing and awesome, Jared Folkins is up next with some DevOps stuff. Jared, you ready?
I'm ready.
Take it away, baby.
All right. Well, so yeah, speaking from the perspective of dev and ops development and operations, is how I'm starting to approach this portion of the conversation. I did want to throw out a huge thank you. Last year, we built our own cryptocurrency, right? Kringle coin. And I remember after it, I called up Ed. I'm like, Ed, this was a lot. And Ed was saying, okay, what can we do to help? So I want to throw out a huge thanks to Vince Valenti. He filled in some gaps and just helps the operations side immensely. But segueing into that, Ed, the next slide is development. I want to talk about at a CounterHack, we wear many hats, and actually many hats. Some people might not enjoy that. I know every practitioner here loves that. We love, like Thomas was saying, new technologies. We love trying to take things that we've never seen before and figure out how to exploit them or mold them and do new things with them. And so this year, I remember at Counter Hackapalooza, which is an annual meeting out at Manasquan at Ed's place. I showed off something that I'd been keeping up my sleeve, which was this year I'd been playing around with Game Boy development, and I had it playing in the browser, and it went really well. And I think that that's so important for people to understand about working for CounterHack, is that other places to throw out a harebrained, whimsical idea, hey, what about Game Boys? It would be insane. But with the CounterHack team, it's like, that looks amazing. Let's go for it, right? And so everybody offering ideas. First, it started off with one game cartridge, then it became three, hiding them around the islands. Like I didn't even know about the Game Boy detector. That was something that Thomas and Eric and Evan came up with, and I was in the game being like, "What is this?" In our development environment, like this is awesome. So that's just how we roll. We really turn into a game hacking development shop. And when it's crunch time, and we ship hard. Something too I wanted to point out is that I loved looking at how people, I had planned how people could exploit these cartridges and find the flags. But people came up with really incredible, non-intuitive ways to hack them. And so, Volume 2, I saw somebody come out with a way to replay a save game from another ROM file, and then somebody else just found a complete gap in my logic and just for volume 3 went right through it. And so that's just something really cool I'm thankful for. And so for the next slide, I wanted to talk about operationally. We as a team leverage Docker, and I know we've talked about this before in past years, but I can't tell you how critical this is for us to take something, compose it on our own systems, pass this around and to the team members in a reproducible way, that we can test, that we can get a feel for, a vibe with, and see if it's working or not working, and ultimately ship that up into production. Without this type of composability and reproducibility to make things deterministic, we just couldn't move at the speed we want to move at. I also want to point out somebody found, if you go digging through the reports, a Linux 101 exploit. They got around some security measures that we put in place. So go look for that after this conversation. Next slide. So this brings me to our buddy Henry that Ed mentioned at the beginning. He was came on the team as far as just a consultant, somebody who offered to help us through the SANS .edu connections, and he came up with these crazy ideas. But from the operations side, I remember thinking, how are we going to do this? Like, so one, for when you're tasked with launching a fictitious satellite up into space for players to hack on, and you've got to deal with concurrency and making sure that everybody's having a great time, there is just a lot of requirements, and it's again new technology. I don't know anything about the MAL TCP protocol. Like, how does this work? And so some hurdles that Henry identified that were very challenging were with these satellite technologies being older, they expect to bind to a local network. So it's not like you could provision an external IP and then pass that to this satellite and then everything works. That's not how it was built. The technology was built. And so Henry came up with an ingenious solution. He leveraged WireGuard to create an internal network that the satellite could bind to, and then the player could just tunnel right into that satellite as the first target. So what great work to Henry, and just a really fun experiment and challenge on how to get that running. And so with the next slide, I'll talk about how I executed that. So I came up with this idea. I pitched this to Evan. I was saying, hey man, like I don't think we're going to be able to have a single satellite. I think we're going to have to do per player provisioning. And I had known in the past this was the right way to do things, but we just had never gone for it. And so it was something I wanted to work on. And so yeah, I shipped this thing called Gator. It acted as a gate, an authentication and authorization mechanism. And Henry was the one that came up with this idea because I wanted a whimsical story with it. And Henry was like, "Hey, what if this alligator is like, can mess with time, and so the player can reset their challenge, but they're doing it through Christmas magic, and they can revert the assets using Christmas magic." And I love that idea. I know Ed loved it, and so Gator was this mechanism with which the player had full control, as well as the player was only able to access the full functionality of Gator when they progressed far enough for the game. So as a reward, my hope is going forward, we're giving our players more advanced simulations of what the targets could be like. And I think Gator is a huge leap forward for us, and how fast we move and how we can do that. And it had an ancillary, like a side benefit here on the next slide, Ed. We've got something that was surprising. So a lot of times looking back, we spend a lot of effort to get these very advanced challenges up and running, but only a tiny percentage of our players ever get to those final challenges. And yet we're keeping them up and running and paying the cash to do that. And that was very expensive. By moving to this mechanism where the player can just launch what they need to launch at the time, miraculously, it drove down our costs. I think we are now, by the end of the event, 60% lower than we've ever spent before. But my goal isn't just to pocket that. I want to put that money back in and build bigger and better things for the years to come. So on the final slide here, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for playing Elf the Dwarf. Thanks you very much for taking the time to do it. And we hope to see you back for many, many years. Back to you, Ed.
That was awesome. Thank you for your amazing work, for the inspiration, just such cool stuff. And what a great picture. Look at that. Pretty awesome. All right. Next up, we have stats and other wizardry from Mr. Evan Booth. Evan, you ready?
I am ready.
Let's do this.
All right, let's talk about some HHC stats and other things. This year we had 15,664 players, and we invited you to come sailing this year. And these are the 10 most popular sail color combinations. We did have a hidden sail option, which was plaid, and apparently it wasn't so hidden because 3,377 of you raised some plaid sails. And also 1,341 players talked to this dead fish named Jason, which is very kind. We had 24 unique objectives this year. And here is a chart that breaks down each objective and the percentage of players that was able to complete it. And I'll give you a sec to look at that before telling you that 281 players crossed the finish line and rolled the credits this year. And that is 1.79% of all players. The inimitable P. Smitty was the first player to cross the finish line in just 47.5 hours, followed by Stigward in 69.6 hours. Very nice. And then Pedro Cabral finished next in 116.8 hours. These are very amazing times. 197 players chose to immortalize their HHC journey and capture it in a report and sent it over. We really appreciate that. And we invited all of our players to go fishing this year, and go fishing you did. We had 44,441,201 lines cast, and that is approximately 6.85 lines per second since launch. And those lines brought in 511,539 fish. That's a lot of fish. Bluefoot was our most prolific fisherman with 33,403 fish, followed by E. Fredrickson at 13,827. And then we had Gobo in third, 7,164 fish. Excellent. 222 players achieved fishing mastery by catching all 171 fish species. Our most caught fish was the jelly chip cuttle swimmer, followed by our least caught, which was unsurprisingly the Pisces cyberneticus scoto. We also invited players to do boat racing this year. And what's that? Oh, hey there, everybody. Oh, don't be sad. Everything's going to be fine. All right, so let's take a look at our first four of 8 tracks and the top scores. We have some really competitive races here. As you see, like sometimes it goes down to the thousandth of a second difference between times. Here's our next 4 races. And then after we tallied up all the trophies, Sea Fallen was our quickest racer, followed by Noodlebox, and then finally Skynet Dev. So we invited you to use AI this year for not just playing Holiday Hack, but also writing up reports. And so it should come as no surprise that we used a lot of AI ourselves in development. Now, Thomas already mentioned using 11 Labs for the NPC voices, the dialogue tracks. Our engine uses a lot of these seamlessly tiled textures. And at the time, Midjourney, and arguably Midjourney still is the best at generating these seamlessly tiled textures. So we would use a prompt like this to come up with a pattern. And then I use an app called Chainer, which allows you to build these node-based image processing workflows. And we would just chuck these in a chainer. They would split up these 2x2 images to separate parts, resize everything, rename everything. And then before you know it, you've got hundreds of these really high quality textures that you can use in your game. We also used Midjourney to flesh out details inside interior spaces. And on this next slide, if you use the sprite sheet in your prompt, it doesn't quite give you a sprite sheet, but it does give you this nice isolated grid of different assets. In the next prompt, we'll see crazy stuff like Jungle Punk and Neo Geo and back button focus. Now, I wouldn't know to include stuff like that naturally. Midjourney does have this really nice describe feature. You could feed it an image that has the style that you want to emulate, and it'll tell you a couple different prompts that'll kind of get you part of the way there. So you could use that and get different things in a similar style. So I combined a lot of those images into Photoshop and use that to generate the backgrounds in Pixel Island. We also use Midjourney a lot to generate some of the scenery around the world. And then in October, ChatGPT announced some really substantial updates, namely the inclusion of DALL-E 3. And almost overnight, our workflows changed from Midjourney, rolling and stuff, to more of the ChatGPT conversational sort of iterative mechanism, which is really nice. This, more than Midjourney, allowed us to really hone in on a particular look and feel, and then take that, as you see in these next few slides, take that and then generate other assets using the same visual styling. And before you know it, you've got a lot of different things that cover a lot of the world, but they all have the same look and feel. We use the OpenAI platform a lot. We leverage those APIs. One tool we developed was called HHC Dialogue Gen. And this would create lines of dialogue for a specific NPC around a certain scenario. So here we have Alabaster Snowball generating lines about when he had a hole in his backpack and now he needs help finding his Game Boy games. And we also included an extra directive to limit the number of dialogue lines to 10 and avoid names of specific places. So we hit enter and then 1,000 cats run across 1,000 keyboards, and we've got these lines of dialogue. Now, the real magic behind this tool is that it's aware of all of the lines of dialogue that Alabaster has ever said. So it will generate new lines of dialogue based on Alabaster's unique personality, which is really nice. So for our fishing minigame, we also used the OpenAI AI platform to generate all the images and data about the fish. So we had this make fish script, and it would generate this prompt for us and then return a JSON object in the next slide. And and then you got all you need to know about a flutterfin hot Cheeto penguin fish. So the next script, we would just feed that description back into another prompt to generate an illustration of this fish in the style of the Voynich manuscript. And then wait a couple seconds, and then in the next slide, you've got your flutterfin hot Cheeto penguin fish. And then I used AI to generate a segue so I could kick things back over to Ed to talk about our winners.
I was looking forward to that segue. Thank you, Evan. That was wonderful. You really are our AI whisperer. I was just thinking that as you were presenting. It's just amazing what you enabled the team to do and to achieve much more than we could. It's a force multiplier, and you really helped us realize that. So thank you, Evan, for your great work. Whimsicality, just incredible. The game engine itself, just wow, awesome.
My pleasure.
But hey, why don't we go over some winning entries here? All right. We start with our honorable mentions. This is a list of people, and we'll post these on the SANS website a little later at sans.org/holidayhack. But these are people who did a really solid job with gameplay and their write-ups. I mean, congratulations to you for honorable mentions. And then some people did even a little better, super honorable mentions. These people went above and beyond. We want to recognize their great work and thank them for their participation. Your write-ups, we read every one of them, and they were wonderful, informative, whimsical, even just really great work. Clever, smart, great technology application. But let's move on to our next set of winners. If you clicked on all sponsor booths, we had 5 sponsor booths here from Google, Amazon, Microsoft, SANS.edu, etc. We would put you into a total tally, and I asked ChatGPT to pick 3 numbers. Each one of you represented a number from that, so you get a random draw for a Holiday Hack shirt. And of those 3,029 people that clicked on all the booths, Kling, Capello, and F. Prince OD will be receiving that shirt. By the way, we don't make any money on the swag. It's there for you to more engage with the game and enjoy it, and it to be more immersive because you can wear the stuff. You can still buy that. We keep that up all year round. It's at tinyurl.com/HHC2023 store. So please go there. Again, we're not doing this to make money. We're doing it to give you another part of the Holiday Hack experience. Next up, SANS.edu has about 1,800 students now. And they proposed to me saying, hey, what if we do a competition just for our students and have them kind of go up against each other, and we'll award the top 3 placers there one of these wonderful SANS.edu hoodies. SANS.edu, we have about half our students are in master's programs getting their master's degree or a master's level certificate. We have about half of the students who are in our undergraduate program, which includes getting a bachelor's degree, or we have undergraduate programs for certificates there as well. And the students competed, and here's what we got. 3rd place was known as Kimosabe, that's Grant Stevens. 2nd place was MBR, that's Marco Hertline. And in 1st place, we had a team of Scott Huntley and Alexandra Huntley, also known as CyberRK9. So congratulations for your excellent efforts there from the SANS.edu College. Next up, most creative. So the most creative person who sent us this amazing write-up will win this Game Boy This is an actual, authentic, original Game Boy. This is not a reproduction or anything like that. This is a brand old Game Boy. And you power it up. You can see there. Look at that. And it's loaded with the game cartridges that Jared created, cartridge 1, 2, and 3. And you can play the game. And I'm going to go ahead here, back up. And you just go through and just play it. It's a Game Boy. Now, it's been restored. A guy named Hawkey restored these Game Boys for you. And our winner here, because his creative challenge is just so wonderful, it's 22 videos that have wonderful training qualities to them. And it's Gabriel Quiras. Gabriel, thank you for your contribution here. Remember, we consider each one of these big prize winners to be an official answer. And I encourage you, if you learn best by watching videos to learn, look at Gabriel's contribution. It is spectacular. We'll post links to it on the SANS Holiday Hack webpage shortly. We have a runner-up here who will be winning one of our coins. We have these little coins that we make every year. That will be Erez C. Erez C, you had a very creative solution. It was really interesting, clever, loved it. So our big winner, Gabriel Quiras, also a really great runner-up. Erez C, Gabriel gets the Game Boy. Erez C will get the coin. I'm going to give away another Game Boy drawn at random at the very end of this presentation. So even if you just played and sent an answer in, if you didn't win, you still might get the second of these Game Boys. Okay, so next up, the best technical answer was actually, we had a single winner, Bernard Grenier, who did an amazing job. We had a runner-up of Michael Benedetti, but the outright winner was Bernard, who's going to get a NetWars continuous subscription for 4 months. This was really solid technical work that describes things very, very well. If you want a fairly brief but detailed analysis of how to solve all these challenges, where you learn in a written way, I urge you to read Bernard Greener's results. They are just spectacular. I also like what Bernard wrote about Henry. In the Zenith SGS on Space Island, we meet a cute green wrench-carrying being named Henry. And then he shows the picture of Henry. In the HHC Discord channel diversion, Memetic Henry Reed, discloses that he is the developer of the satellite challenges. Like in the classical paintings, great classical paintings, has the master added himself? Well, we all added Henry there because he was so helpful this year. Next up, big one. You ready for this? The best overall answer, our grand prize winner, who will get a free SANS On Demand course, is Jai Minton. Jai, congratulations. Your answer was great. It was whimsical. It was fun. It was just excellent to read. The layout was spectacular. The way you walk through it. Now, some of you may have heard Jai's name before because last year, Jai won Best Technical Answer. And the year before, he won the most creative answer. But this year, Jai wins the grand prize, the best overall answer. Literally, my hat is off to you, Jai. It's a great, great solution, just tremendous. One of my favorite parts of it was at the end, Jai used various AI tools to create whimsical versions of the characters, including some of the elves and Dwarf the Elf. He created that, and even a variation of Henry and peppermint sticks and all this stuff. It's just really wonderful. Also, his solution includes a lot of subtle things that happen. For example, if you looked at the satellite before getting access to its camera, if you just looked at it through the telescope, you wouldn't see Jack Frost in the window because you hadn't got far enough to see that Jack Frost was on it. But if you then hacked into the camera and got access to the camera so you saw it was Jack Frost, now if you go back to the telescope and look through, you see Jack Frost in the window because now you know it's Jack Frost. And there's a bunch of subtleties like this. The satellite, after the missile diversion happens, the satellite's no longer in the sky. So if you go back to the telescope and look up in the sky, it's gone. Chris Davis wired together all that logic and created those videos for us. And Jai noticed this and put screenshots of it in his write-up. You know, we have another award that we win. We call it the Extra Special Noteworthy Exemplary Trophy, called ESNet. It was after some of our players a few years ago. They did such great work that we created an award named after them. And this year's ESNet award for just an exemplary write-up that's fun to read and technically brilliant. This person will get an HHC coin, and that is Forbitten or Forbitten. But congratulations Forbitten on a great showing there. All right. So the last thing I have to give away is one more of these. So I asked Midjourney to choose at random one of your solutions. Not Midjourney. I asked ChatGPT to choose one of your solutions at random. And who's going to get the second Game Boy? Remember, the first one went to our most creative winner. The second one will go to Jorg Schwarzwälder. What a name. Congratulations, Jorg. Last year, you had created Santa's data lake for us, and we sent you a coin because you did that, and that was pretty cool. This year, completely at random, ChatGPT chose you to get the second one of these fully restored Game Boys with all of the games on it. Hockey actually replaced the screen with a backlit screen, so it's still nice and bright. It's black and white, though, because this is OG. And he also replaced the speaker so it sounds crisp and fresh, just like it did back in the 1990s. So finally, a sneak peek for you. If you look back on Holiday Hack 2022, it was KringleCon 5 Golden Rings. In fact, that was a build over time. 2018 was KringleCon, 2019 KringleCon 2 Turtle Doves. I believe that was originally Evan's idea to call KringleCon 2 Turtle Doves. KringleCon 3 was French Hens. KringleCon 4 was Calling Birds. KringleCon 5 was Golden Rings. In 2023, we're kind of moving away from the KringleCon branding because it would confuse people. What is KringleCon? Is it Holiday Hack? Is it different? Is it separate? So 2023, we really tried to focus. You saw some references to KringleCon here and there, but we tried to focus it and call it the Holiday Hack Challenge featuring 6 geese a-laying. And they're a-laying because they're wearing Hawaiian lays. That's 2023. So what would 2024 be? Well, it should be Holiday Hack Challenge featuring 7 swans a-swimming. Okay, fine. There'll be swans. That's nice. But what is the nature of it? Well, as you know, in Holiday Hack 2023, Santa and the elves were on the Geese Islands, having moved down there. It's time to move back to the North Pole. Here is the issue, though. When the elves get back to the North Pole, Santa's not there. He's not at the Geese Islands anymore. He's gone there. He doesn't show back up at the North Pole. He's disappeared. And the elves try to find him, but they're unsuccessful. So they decide they're going to have to fulfill the holiday mission without Santa Claus. And much mayhem ensues. Much mayhem ensues. So that's what we got for next year. Santa Claus has gone missing. The elves are going to try to do it themselves. And just wait till you see what happens. So with that said, we'd like to thank you all for joining us. Congratulations to our winners. I've actually reached out to each of our winners to say, hey, can you be on this thing today? Some of you are here, some of you aren't. We'll send you a follow-up email that will describe what you won and how we can get our prizes to you and so forth. But thank you so much. We'll see you in December 2024, if not sooner. Now, if not sooner doesn't mean we're going to release Holiday Hack sooner. It just means I might run into you, or you might play Net Wars or one of our other challenges that the team creates. Maybe we'll see you at a wonderful SANS event. If you're a Holiday Hack player and we see you at a SANS event or the RSA conference or B-Sides or something like that, please come up and greet the team. We love to see you and to hear from you and your feedback. Maybe it'll be at DEF CON or something like that. We'd love to get to know you better. So thank you all for this. Thank you, Mary Lynn, for hosting the webcast for us all. I'd like to thank all of our presenters and really the entire CounterHack team. It's a joy to work with each and every one of you. Wait till Holiday Hack 2024, launching second week of December 2024. And with that, we'll call it a wrap. Over and out.